primer says that you can send it in 15 to 20 minutes, but it's always best to let it cure as long as you can. So now this is cured, what I'm going to do is go over it and see if there's any areas like this that could either use some more primer. I'm going to wet sand the whole thing first and look it over, and then if it needs another coat. I like the idea of using this white primer because, as you see, it really covered well. Now the color that goes over it is going to cover much better because it's a really fine mist paint, and last time we used it on the hatch I barely had enough paint to cover it. You don't want to put it on too heavy that it runs, but it gives you a lot more time to kind of play with it, get used to the paint if you're not a painter. I'm not a painter, but I can obviously rattle can decent, which I think most of you guys can. I'm sure it's going to be out in the store by the time you see this because we're on episode 4, but this is the proof of the CRX shirt. They always send you a proof, make sure you're happy with it before they print a whole bunch of stuff you don't want. So really enjoying this look. It's kind of a clean look. It's one of those that anybody that's a fan kind of sees you from the other side of the store and kind of gives you a thumbs up because they know what car it is. The average guy that drives a car to work looks at it and he doesn't know what it is. So what I usually like to do is do a one coat first, even, and then look at it with a light and kind of blend it in and watch it just kind of blend and float. At that point I stop, let it cure. This is the little pin to activate it. You take the cap off, you take this guy out the top, right? You put it on there, and then you push down on the bench, right here. Right there. And that mixes it. Now you gotta shake it to mix the two parts together. And to say you've only got 24 hours to use this, and then the whole thing gets hard, it's no good. That's 4 coats of clear, and it's looking pretty shiny. Like I mentioned, the way I do it, I don't know what the term is, it's kind of when the paint floats, you kind of just mist it on lightly until you see it all kind of joined together and it gets that nice shiny look to it. And like I say, don't get too critical on yourself. This is just an engine bay. Now, I'm not saying it should look like crap, but you're not going to get in there and wet sand and buff it. You want it to be even and clean and shiny. So, I mean, look at that back there. That's going to look great. So I'm going to let this sit now. We're going to leave the engine bay for at least 2 days and start working on the rest of the car. This isn't something we need to get back in. The longer you let it sit, the harder the paint's going to be, less chance you're going to have of marking up the paint. That's the ZC right there. It's got all the corresponding parts. It's on a pallet and wrapped up. So that can sit there for another year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it takes before we get Sebastian over here and start swapping his motor. I figured I'd show you this in the sun. You guys know what this is. This is obviously impossible to get if we ever needed another one. This one's in good shape, it's just pretty dirty and of course faded. Well, I've shown you in the past video, I think it was on the Red Integra and the CRX and Bill's Integra. We showed you how to use the SEM die. It's the best stuff I found for this. Go ahead and Scotch Brite it. I just did a test spot right there. All you want to do is make it so it's smooth, and then you can go really light with the dye and it'll give it that nice plastic textured look as well as a nice rich black look. I'm not going to show you step by step because I've shown you in past videos. I'll just show you when it's done, okay? Now, this is the clutch. You're going to push down here. This is a pushing action. Now, this is the master cylinder for the clutch. You see this from the outside of the car. This is going through here. The whole thing sandwiches together, and that attaches to there. That's what pushes the master. So on a CRX, it's cable. It's the opposite action. This is the fulcrum point. It hinges on here. This is the pivot. So when you push the pedal here, this is a pulling action. The cable is around here and pulls the cable, which is what pulls the lever on the transmission. So what we need to do is mount our master cylinder here. Now this is the important part. The distance traveled needs to be identical. So look at this as like a pulley. This is the middle, this is the fulcrum, the pivot. The distance out here is important. It doesn't matter which direction this is, whether it moves this way, this way. Look at this as like a circle. So we're going to measure this to get the exact distance from that center point to that center point and measure it here. That center point, it's going to be about here. This is where we did it on our CRX back in the day. We're talking 20 years ago. But I measured and got this spot. So this needs to be in the perfect location so that when you press this pedal, it moves the exact amount to move the slave on the other end. So you get proper clutch travel, and the clutch has the right engagement. You want the clutch to be engaged in the right spot and have enough travel to disengage as well as to be fully engaged. The trick is mounting this. This is going to be inside the car. This is the firewall on the CRX. The firewall is this way. This is going to be going inside towards the dash. That's where we're going to start building a bracket. Now, this isn't why we're offering this as a kit. We're not going to build a kit. This isn't something we're interested in doing. We're just going to kind of give you an idea and show you how it goes. And then if it's something you feel like you can fabricate it, you're going to build some kind of bracket around here to hang that master. And you can have a hydraulic clutch. I'm going to start removing the paper, and it looks really good. It's got a nice shine. Just want to address a couple of things. Few people have asked questions. I figured I'd try and answer questions along the way. So few people said, hey, why don't you just put a cable transmission in? Be much easier. Slap it in, hook the cable up, boom, done. Drive it down the road. Well, I have done a lot of B16 cable transmissions. I've blown up a ton of transmissions, motors, superchargers. Back in the day when I put my B20 VTEC with a supercharger, of course, making a ton of power, a ton of torque, I used to damage transmissions, and I tried rebuilding S1 and J1s. And the better option is to try and get a 92 to 93 transmission. The case is the same size, but the internals are quite a bit beefier. They share a lot of parts with the 94 and up transmissions, so it is a stronger transmission. Problem is, they're difficult to find. Well, not only that, cable, if you've ever felt the difference between a good cable clutch and a good hydraulic clutch, there's no comparison. The hydraulic clutch is much smoother, of course, less moving parts, less friction. There's a reason why they changed to it. It's a much better option. Now, I did build a hydro conversion way back in the day. It still utilized a cable, so you had the cable feel. Then you had this mechanism right here, which it worked. It was okay. It wasn't the solution. I wasn't happy with it. And keep in mind, when I build stuff, I tend to be more critical. I drive it, I use it. If I don't like it, I don't want to sell it. I did build about 20 of those hydro conversions. Of course, there's other companies now make it, but I don't really like it. I've used it, I don't really like it. This car, we're going to go full hydraulic. Go get in a 92 and up Civic, and then go get in a CRX. The 92 and up Civic is going to have better clutch feel, better clutch action, less moving parts, less friction. It is, in my opinion, much better. That's what we're doing here. Full hydraulic, no conversion, no hydro to cable, cable to hydro, full hydro. So the pedal assembly is put together. Like I said, this isn't available as a kit. We built it to the pedal assembly to pick up all the different forces needed, because we're pushing this now. So it's kind of hard to hold all this and make it operate, but as you see right now, when you press the pedal, you're operating in the correct location, and all this is perfectly the same as the Civic. So all we got to do now is put a feed on here, and obviously the feed from the reservoir, this can go back in the car, but hopefully you can look at these pictures, and if you're a fabricator, maybe you can build something like this. If we kind of get a screenshot right here, or maybe something you can put together. So let's get that in, and then we can keep moving with the booster and then get the motor in. Now, if you want to meet me, George, the LHT guys, we're going to be at Fontana Damn October 8th. We're going to be meeting up with the guys from Classic Hondas on the Dragon. If you're looking for a fantastic Honda meet, super enthusiastic guys. I mean, we're going to be driving up to Tennessee. People from all over the country are going to be there. There's people as far away from Miami, New York. Guys on the West Coast are going to be there. Drive some of the best roads I've ever seen. Meet some of the best Honda enthusiasts you'll probably meet in your life. You got 300 friends there waiting you don't even know you know. So make a vacation of it. We're going to be there for a week. If you want to try and make a long weekend of it, bring your wife, bring your girlfriend, bring your buddy. Cabins are everywhere, cheap hotels. Robbinsville, somewhere around there is usually where we stay, but anywhere in that location, go ahead and stay, make a vacation of it. Fontana Damn, which, just Google it. Google Classic Hondas on the Dragon, LHT Meet, any of those things. You'll see what we did last year. It was fantastic. The place was full. We got to drive with some of those guys, got to drive some of the best scenic roads, and hang out with car guys, which is kind of what it's all about. So October 8th, be there. Look for the LHT flags. Look for the classic Hondas on the Dragon, guys. Just look for a whole bunch of Hondas that are in the middle of nowhere, all congregating, having a great time. So I'll see you there.